I'm now going to tie a Dahlberg Diver, and it's a warm water hook that warm water fly that I use in the Delta in California, and it's a very productive fly and it's easy to tie. And right now I'm going to try to demonstrate how easy this fly is to tie. I'm going to start off with a Daiichi 2546 saltwater stainless steel hook. I use stainless steel because they last longer, they're more durable, and this fly does have a little bit of time involved in it, and I don't like to waste it. I'll start my GX2 Gouda Brow tying thread right in between the point and the barb, and I'll select two hackles with this whiting neck. And I'm going to get two grizzly hackles, 2 or 3. It's on each side. I'm going to use my leg to lay the curvature of these feathers. It's easier to maintain, so you won't be able to see that too well. And I'm going to go one grizzly, one green, another green, one grizzly. Save this for the other one. And then I'm going to take the curvature and place them opposing each other, so I have a splayed frog leg. Does. I'm going to measure about 2 hooks length. Cut the butts. Take a little bit of the fibers, but don't strip them down, because you can bind it to the hook better. Take a couple of loose thread wraps, maintaining it on the top of the hook shank, and then put a goodly amount of pressure on it. And I want this thing to turn around on the hook. And I want to put about 3 half hitches. Keep it tight. And I'm going to saturate that with water-based head cement. Next thing, I'll put a little flash on, using crystal flash. Take a few strands out of the pack. I like to use a pack like this, keeps it a little neater. Just cut a little hole in the corner. Pull a few strands out. I want to put this right down the middle, approximately half of it. Bind that down. I'm going to take about half of the forward part, bend it around so I get the outside here, and take the remaining, go to the near side of the hook. Bind that down. Pretty simple fly. Put a little bit more head cement on that. Now I'm going to add a little, it's called short or long shank, excuse me, long shuck. It's a flash chenille. Makes real good bodies for woolly buggers and wet flies. Take a little bit of that out. I'm going to tie that in, bend that back, makes it a little bit more durable there. Hope you can see that with my big fingers in the way. Now I'm going to kind of wet fly wrap that on there, starting in the back and kind of preening it a little bit so I get a nice sparkle ball. I'm going to tie that on, throw a couple of wraps over it, and a couple of wraps under it. Tie it off. Now we're ready for the deer. I'm going to start it. You can see I'm about halfway down the hook shank. And most varmints you get out there have pale bellies on them. So I'm going to start off with this. It's a little off-white, cream-colored belly hair. And I'm going to get all the under fur out of there. It makes it a little easier to spin. I'm going to set it right on the hook, on top of the hook shank. I'm going to take 2 wraps, and I want to roll it on the bottom, thus, and use my thumb to stop it, and at the same time pull the thread, and it flares that deer hair out pretty good. Take a locking wrap and set it down there. Okay, I'm going to put a little bit more on the top. And the reason why I didn't spin it is because I'm going to put some color on the top half of the top, if that makes any sense. I'll show you how I'm doing it. Put a little color there. Now I'm going to put some frog green deer hair. And frog green deer hair. Same, it's kind of repetitious. Get all that fuzz out. I'm going to get about 50% of it, match the tips off. And I set it right on the top of there. And I don't want it to spin, so I'm going to hold it with my thumb and put pressure in it while I'm pulling down on the thread. And it will distribute the hair in a flat manner so I can put my next color on. I'm going to put some black. This will make a nice defined line. Same thing, I'm pushing it down with my thumb, distributing it in a circle there. And now my last color is going to be just some plain olive. Olive. Same thing, just stuck this. Same as the others. But with this exception, this is going to be my top color. I still don't want it to spin, so I'm going to grip the sides just like that, pinch it, and pull straight down on my tying thread, and it kind of flares everything up almost like a parachuter type. See the way that came out? It's kind of in a central area. Okay, that's the first segment. Now I'm going to compress this with the hair packer. Got about, oh, maybe 3/16 in there. And I'm going to wrap a collar of thread and tie that off with half hitches. Put a little head cement there. That head cement will suck in there like capillary action and get everything nice and solid. My next segment is going to be the same as the front, or the back, excuse me. Use the cream. Get all the fuzz out, and I trim the tips and the butts on this one. Put it in there, take a couple of wraps, and roll that on the bottom. You got a shelf for the next, put a little bit more, the cream colored deer hair. Get that right on the top here. Push down on it, make a nice tying platform. I'm going to go and put the frog green on there. See, I try to make it the same amount all the time. As I get to the front, if I have to make a small area, then I'll lighten on the deer hair a little bit. But I try to maintain about the same proportion. Take a little black. The black I don't use as much of on all of them because it's making the like a little border, which I'll show you after I'm done. Trim that in there and put that right on top. My last color here on this segment is the olive. Put that right on the top. Okay. I'm going to take some light wraps because the eye of the hook's right there, and I don't want to shear my thread off with the end of the metal. So I'm going to compress this, and I have probably an 1/8 of an inch. I'm just going to spin some hair to make up with it, and I'll use the frog green. If I had a weed guard on this fly, I would leave it like that and I'd tie the weed guard in there. Put that hair, shorten my thread up so I can control it better. Put a little bit more hair on there. Okay, I want to push that back with my fingers. So I get my packer in there. Tie it off. Again, I'm building up a foundation on that in that head so it won't cut my thread. When it got it built up good enough, then I'll throw some half hitches in there and tie it off. Put a little cement. And that's all the tying I have to do. Now I'm going to take it out of the vise, and I'm going to rough cut it so I get a flat bottom and open up the hook gape. See, I got that bottom cut. Just about the, I don't want to get too close to the hook shank because of the, it'll blow up on me. I'll cut all the thread. So I'm going to take a, let's set this back in here. Take a double-edged razor blade. Still get them at Walmart. And I'm going to rest that on the top and cut parallel to my cut. You can see where that long shuck is showing through. A little bit of red highlights. Okay, I'm going to flip it over and put it back in the vise. Hopefully I can trim it in the vise so you can see it better. And I'm going to cup this razor blade, and I'm going to rest it right on the eye of the hook and kind of roll it back. And I'm going to take that second segment and I'm going to trim it off. That gives me my diver. And kind of trim it off a little bit. I can take a little bit more off the bottom. When you're first tying these, you got to watch doing this. You can see the way that segment came out, that I used a little less black than the rest of them. I'm going to cut a little bit more to get some more, get a few of those white hairs out of there. That's all right there. Okay, now I have to take it out of the vise again, and I'm going to cut the ridge around the top. And this is the bubble maker. So if you make it pretty smooth as you're stripping it in the water, it's going to generate a lot of bubbles. And bass love the bubbles. They like noise and bubbles. Okay. Now you can trim this thing all day long, and if you do it long enough, it'll disappear. So you just got to make it to where it's functional. That's pretty good. Now the only thing left is to install my eyes in it. And you can use a soldering iron and burn them in, but it stinks to high heaven. I like to use scissors, and I just cut. I try to get it so he's not looking cross-eyed. And I put this household goop. You can use shoe goop, amazing goop. They're all basically the same. I like to use the clear stuff. Put a little dollop in the hole there. Okay, if you do, I don't know if I mentioned that, if you do use a soldering iron, scrape out all the burnt stuff because it won't stick very good if you don't. And I'm taking 2 doll eyes. I'll show the package. They're plastic eyes. They're 6mm. And these happen to be gold. You can use any color that suits your fancy. And I use a pair of dikes to cut off the legs on these things. Set the eyes in there. Once you set the eyes in there, they kind of come alive and you got to name them. And the last thing you can do is kind of splay these frog legs up. You can work them around, place them so they V out, and when you're fishing them, they'll slap together like frog legs after you pull them through. They get together, and when you stop, they come back out. It looks pretty good. Clean up that eye a little bit. The Dahlberg Diver.